All right, so next we will move to item 8, ChristchurchNZ Holdings Limited Q3 Performance Report. And we have Joanna Norris here. Joanna, if you'd like to come to the table. And Linda Gibb as well. Joanna, thank you for joining us. Good to see you. So were there any comments that either you, Joanna, or Linda wanted to make on this report before we move to any questions?
We're happy to take this as read, acknowledging that the quarter contained within this report is prior to the significant impacts of COVID, and our activity since the period covered by this report has largely focused on the economic recovery plan.
Thank you. Are there any questions? No questions. Aaron?
Yep, sorry.
Oh, Yanni, I'll come to you in a minute, so I'll take Aaron first, and then I'll come to you. Aaron?
I was going to say I don't mind if Yanni goes first. So just on the Buy Local campaign, Jonah, I note that, so the irony wasn't lost, that one of the billboards for Buy Local for Christchurch was the corner of, I'm going to say, Victoria Street, Villiers, and that's an Australian-owned billboard, whereas there's a whole lot of New Zealand/Christchurch owned ones that would we not be better to put the advertising on the local?
It's owned by a New Zealand company. It's owned by MediaWorks now. QMS. Don't even ask me.
All right, can we get an answer from Joanna, please?
Yeah.
If indeed there is one.
So it's just around our, have we got new tighter watches on our procurement for buying new Christchurch?
Yeah, look, I'll address the procurement issue more generally than that specific billboard site. We always do endeavour to procure locally where it offers value for money and where it supports local businesses. There will be occasions, though, when we will procure from entities that are domiciled outside of Christchurch because it represents better value for money for the ratepayer.
Thank you. Yanni?
Thank you. I was just wondering, are we going to get any sort of detailed report back on the Bread and Circus Buskers Festival? Like, especially, I guess, now it's operated for 2 years and we put a significant investment in at the start. Is there any sort of, not closeout report because it's obviously still going, but just can we get some sort of detailed report on the financial situation in terms of the funding, the revenue, and how it's performed in terms of attendance?
Absolutely.
For expectation.
To give members any information they would like relating to any event. In terms of the funding, as you're aware, Councillor Johansson, the risk for that event sits with the event provider, which is Strutton Fret, and the funding provided by ChristchurchNZ is a static funding line.
So my understanding, but again, I think having a detailed, briefing on where it's got to from where it's come, was we put a significantly increased investment in to start on the basis that would be significantly reduced as it's established. So I'm just not quite sure where we've got to with that, but I do think it would be good to get a kind of detailed understanding of, what we were sold, what's happened, how it's gone, and then what the ongoing funding is.
Thank you. I'll note that as an action.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, maybe one of the Tuesday briefings. The second question I had was around our letter of expectation, which asked ChristchurchNZ to address prosperity in some of the lower socioeconomic areas of the city. And I didn't see any reporting against that. So I was just keen to understand what you're doing in that regard.
Yeah, look, it's an excellent question. The work that we did with the councillors and the ChristchurchNZ board 2 weeks ago to develop inclusive prosperity measures was a really powerful piece of work that we'll be incorporating into our statement of intent. We're very pleased to have had the opportunity to do that work with councillors. We're very pleased with where that is getting to, and we're intending to bring you back a set of measures that reflect the intent of councillors through that session. And again, that will be reflected in the economic recovery plan and the wider socio-economic recovery for the city.
Thank you. Yanni, was there anything further?
Sorry. I was just trying to, I appreciate what you're doing in this quarter. I was trying to understand for the last quarter.
So this quarter,
what's being done in that regard?
Quarter requires us to report against our existing statement of intent outcomes, which were approved by council for the current period. So it wouldn't be realistic for us to report against different outcomes.
And of course, any change.
Okay. Is that? sorry, I think we had a letter of expectation that we sent. When did we send that? Yeah, I mean, others will know. We had a big debate about it as council. I think it was October or November.
We received an updated letter of expectation last week, and we're incorporating that into our statement of intent for the coming year.
So that would relate to the next financial year, not to the period that we're discussing as regards to this Q3 report that takes us to the 31st of March today.
That's right.
Yeah, I find this a little bit confusing, really. We had a discussion, we had a debate at council. I guess we sent a letter of expectation, and now you're saying another one's gone last week. Have we seen that as councillors, that revised one?
Yes, you have. You saw it late April, I think it was.
Right. And I thought we were going to come back by July and send a revised letter, but maybe the chair or the chief executive can just clarify that.
Yeah, can we
Thanks.
get some clarification on that? I mean, that's an internal matter for us as council rather than a matter for ChristchurchNZ. What's important to us is how ChristchurchNZ responds to the letter of expectation and the amendment to it or the addition to it that has been sent, which is as a result of a council resolution. And we're expecting now to get the statement of intent back from ChristchurchNZ in time for us to formally receive that by the end of July. So that's 1 month later than normal. And that then forms the basis of the work that ChristchurchNZ would do for the July 1st, 2020 to June 30, 2021 financial year.
Chair, do you mind if I add?
Please do.
Thank you. So, members, it's important that you don't confuse the next year's activity to this year's activity. This report relates to the letter of expectation you would have given to ChristchurchNZ over a year ago, and that is what they are reporting on. You clearly have worked together
Thanks.
about the future activity for next year, so please don't confuse those two things together.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
And there'll
Thank
be
you for the
opportunity
clarification.
for a debate about the statement of intent for the next year at some
the
point
appropriate
between
time.
now and the end of July, so at the appropriate time when we get that back from ChristchurchNZ. Was there anything further? No? All right. Do any other councillors have questions? Anne?
Thank you. Hi, Julia. Hi. Just, and once again, it's a bit of a grey area because we're thinking about last year and now this year, but you have increased activity in business support, growth and retention. I wondered if there was anything particular you were doing for, we had a small events company that came and spoke to us yesterday who are struggling, obviously, because of the situation that they are in. Have you got anything in particularly targeting that type of business where events have been impacted?
So I don't need to understand their specific needs to
Yeah.
answer
Yeah,
that question
I know.
specifically, but we have helped more than 4,000 businesses over since the COVID period,
Yeah.
giving them business advice, access to the government wage subsidy, advice on human resource issues, and we're working alongside the Chamber to give that advice. So if they were to get in contact with us directly, we would do a needs assessment and we'd be able to support them and give them access to the relevant services.
Thank you. Now, the purpose of the resolution is just to note the report. Do I have a mover for that, please? So, Tim, you'll move. Pauline, you'll second. Thank you. So, moved by Tim Scanderett, seconded by Pauline Cotter. Is there any debate?
Yeah, Andrew, did you want a specific resolution about the buskers so we can make sure that that's, or can that be captured as a note?
I don't know that it needs to be captured in a resolution. I think we heard Joanna say to, well, in fact, we did hear Joanna say to us she would take that as an action point from this meeting. I think we can have confidence that that will result in what you're asking for.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. So this has been moved and seconded. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? That's carried. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.